Hey friends, this is Ian Khan at Consensus 2025, and I'm talking with Cesar Pereira. And well, let's get an industry update from what's happening at their company and what's happening within the industry. Cesar, welcome to the Futurist.
Well, Ian, thank you very much for having me. It's been a great event thus far at Consensus Toronto.
Excellent. It's amazing, and I love the energy. You guys have been really busy doing a lot of networking, talking to people. Tell me about how things are and what are you guys focused on right now?
Yeah, well, great. Well, first off, let me introduce myself. My name is Cesar Pereira. I'm the new VP and head of labs over at Kadena. My focus is going to be around tokenization and real-world asset efforts. So that's my background. Kadena, it's very exciting. We've been focused a lot around how do we tokenize real-world assets and bring them to the marketplace, so bringing that whole ecosystem into the network. We'll have some exciting announcements that people will see about in a very short couple of weeks around tokenizing money market funds, working with real-world institutions globally. So I think from that perspective, we're very excited. And my mandate has been to how do we bring utility to the network around tokenization and value. So we're very excited to continue that work.
Excellent. So when you talk about tokenization, what is happening in the world that's being tokenized? Is it physical objects? Is it commodities? Is the financial world changing really from a person? Let's say we're talking to someone who knows nothing about what tokenization does.
Yeah, I think there's a very broad spectrum of tokenization. So when I think about tokenization, predominantly what we're seeing is things like tokenizing U.S. treasuries, tokenizing real estate, tokenizing data. There are all different aspects of things that can be tokenized, but where we're really seeing a lot of traction is around these real world asset utilities, particularly in the capital market space. So for us, when you think of a killer use case for tokenization, it's the ability to tokenize an asset and then move it globally frictionless, right? So when you tokenize something, it's digital rails and you can move it at the light of speed, and that is very, very important to the global economic network in terms of how we move money. But you can literally tokenize anything. But I always ask the question is like, do you really want to tokenize everything, right? Certain things, there's utility in tokenizing, and some things just don't make sense to tokenize.
Yeah. So today, how is the response from, let's say, the financial industry, right? The traditional financial industry. How are they taking this whole tokenization revolution, blockchain-driven world, decentralization-driven world? What is their take on it?
Yeah, that's and that's my background. So 25 plus years in traditional finance. So I can tell you, when you have companies like BlackRock and Franklin Templeton with Biddle and Benji having over $2 billion in assets under management, it's no longer a fad. Like, it's real, it's happening. I think we're going to see that momentum continue to grow. There's a lot of private equity, private credit tokenization happening in the marketplace. And again, I think over the next couple of months, you'll see some really tangible use cases of where these institutions are tokenizing funds, tokenizing additional money markets, tokenizing collateral. Again, this whole idea of collateral mobility is going to be very important. So it's happening, and it's going to be accelerated, especially with the new regulatory sort of mandate.
Yeah, excellent. What about different geographies? What about different countries that are trying to do that? Do you guys operate in different regions?
We do. We operate in, I just recently came from Portugal. We have a big developer community there. We have a big developer community in Europe, Asia. So for us, we're seeing a lot of activity in the US, but also in the UK. And I would say in the Asian markets as well, in terms of wanting to build, wanting to develop and collaborate. But tokenization, I'm seeing, is happening globally.
And what about regulatory frameworks? Is the EU easier to work in as compared to working with the SEC as an example, or the Middle East, or Asia? What are you seeing with regional dynamics?
I think historically, it was safe to say that the US was very difficult to work with, right? So a lot of those folks, a lot of people are flying over to Europe and Asia and the Middle East, etc. But I think right now, with the new mandate and the new sort of regulatory changes, the U.S. is now becoming sort of a place where people are coming for quality of flight and wanting to build and do work. So we're seeing quite a bit of uptick in the U.S. in a regulatory framework.
Let's talk about what you guys are building that you can tell us about. What are you building or looking forward to changing or creating an impact in which specific areas?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for those that don't know, Kadena was founded by former JP Morgan, the folks that developed the JP Morgan blockchain, Stuart and Will. And over the last couple of years, they've really been building predominantly in the DeFi side. So whether we're talking about DEXs and so on. And now over the last couple of months, they've brought in a new, chief business officer, Annalise, and her focus has been to really give the chain an identity. Like, what do we want? And we want to be known for the blockchain of business, right? If you want to do business and transact business, we're Kadena. We have the ability to scale literally zero to no, transaction fees, gas fees on the network. So some of the work that we're doing now is we're, partnering, we're building a bridge to additional ecosystems. We're going to become EVM compatible, so we're in testnet as we speak. Probably go mainnet probably around, let's say Q3 of this year, maybe by year end we'll be live on Ethereum. And we're starting to bring in the projects, like I mentioned, of real world assets being tokenized on Kadena, whether it's US treasuries, whether it's real estate, onto the network, and we're going to start to grow and expand that ecosystem out. So not only here in the US, but we'll see projects overseas as well, in the UK and Asia, etc.
Yeah. Do you find the environment different even within North America when it comes to Canada and the US? Are there major differences?
I think there's differences. I think, and just from a personal observation, I think Canada historically has been more of I would say, a follower, right? They're watching what's happening around the rest of the world. The US has been, I think, a little bit more innovative, even with the regulatory, pressures that they've had in the past. But I think now, people are just kind of wait and see, get full, regulatory clarity, and then I think from that point on, we're going to see a lot more innovation. So, but I do think, Canada kind of is this a wait and see approach and see what the rest of the world is doing, and then typically we'll follow. It's a much different financially ecosystem, right? With only 5 banks in Canada compared to the rest of them. Yeah, it's much smaller.
Of course. Let me ask you a final question. Given the next 5 years, right? What would you want that change to be that really does it all? You're like, hey, this is a dream come true. What is that?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot. So for me, the dream come true is we talk about this idea of tokenization, and we're all thinking about tokenizing an asset. But for me, the true value of blockchain for these organizations is when we start using the blockchain as the actual infrastructure that all of this money movement happens on. So it's not necessarily just, hey, let's tokenize a fund, but how do we settle that fund, the settlement layer, right? All of the benefits that DeFi has brought so far, the ability to trade 24/7, the ability to instantly settle, atomic settlement, those are, I think, the values that we're going to bring to traditional markets, and we're going to just see them flourish. So that's my opinion.
Amazing. We'll follow your journey, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
My pleasure,
helping us understand where things are going, and best of luck at Consensus.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being on.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Cesar.
Welcome.